listening to Communities Live on Sheffield Live Radio 93.2 FM with Susie Casson and T-Boy today. And we're joined in the studio by Logan Robin.
Hello.
Hi, Logan. Welcome. So first of all, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, right. So I'm a student at the University of Sheffield, and I grew up in Hillsborough as well. So, and perhaps the important reason why I'm here today is I also spent a good deal of time in the past few months running all around Sheffield doing campaigning for the Remain group.
Right, great. So you're involved with an event that's on today, Stand Together Sheffield. Can you tell us where and when that's going to be?
Okay, so it's going to be outside the town hall, just in about an hour, I think, at 1:00, and we're going to be there, just sort of making sure our voice is heard and everything.
Great. So it's 1:00 today outside the town hall. Why have you chosen today?
Yeah, so we really wanted to make sure that it coincided with the next meeting of the full council. So all of Sheffield's 60-odd councillors are going to be there, and to really ensure that they take note that, okay, although it was a leave vote, that 49% of Sheffield still voted to remain, and that they really see that.
Yeah, great. So, why would you say, would you say there are strong feelings among younger people at the moment in Sheffield about the vote?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Nationally, young people voted a ratio of 3-1 to Remain, so it's absolutely shocking that, it blows the Scotland result out of the water. And I think I can really, personally, I know quite well why these feelings are strong, because we at the university here, we have a lot of European students, but to us they're more than just students. They're our friends and sometimes partners and co-students and everything like that. So it's we really appreciate those links with people, and are quite, in a lot of instances, worried for our European friends now.
Yeah, of course, because we're not really sure what's happening long term yet, are we? Yeah. So what kind of numbers are you expecting today?
Yeah, well, we've had 500 people. We just hit 500 people saying that they are going, in quote marks, today, with over 1,000 saying they are interested. So, but we've already been hugely surprised by the level of interest that this has piqued. So, I'm not, all bets are off.
Yes, yeah, and it's a peaceful demonstration.
Yes. So it's just it's just a nice thing to get together, and we were going to have some speakers coming, and all. It's open to everyone, to not just those that voted Remain, but anyone can turn up if they wanna listen and hear what's going on, and I think it'll be quite nice, and everyone there is very friendly.
Yeah, so hopefully going to get quite a strong turnout today. What are you hoping might happen as a result of the demo today?
At this point, we don't really have a fixed objective. It's more just a theme or a direction of travel, which is that we want the country, we want the people at the highest levels and at local level to acknowledge that whatever happens in the future now, it has to be action that is fair for the whole country. So, because the result was 2% in favour of leave, but that also means that 48% nationally, 49% in Sheffield voted to stay, and it doesn't seem okay to me that we should be shoved out into the mid-Atlantic somewhere off the coast of America just because of that very small margin. It has to be something that's good for everyone, and that's what this is about.
Yeah, great. So, as you said, the vote was very close, wasn't it? Almost as close as possible. Why do you think so many people did vote to leave the EU at the time? Yeah,
well, I think that quite a lot of people are very angry with the way things are in the country at the moment, and quite rightly so. A lot of things are going wrong. As a student, certainly many things are going wrong. I was infuriated a few months. I think it was last year when it turned out that maintenance grants for poorer students is basically not going to go ahead, and things like this are really bad. And the problem is it's very easy to scapegoat the EU, and there's a really great desire to stick two fingers up at the government and everything like that. I certainly have that urge at sometimes, but from my perspective, the EU is quite often, and a lot of the programs that it has, they're the thing which quite often hold back a lot of the worst problems in society. It provides a huge deal of funding to Sheffield in particular, and also for students through like the Erasmus program. So I think, a lot of people can't afford to just stick two fingers up. You've got to make sure that the most vulnerable are protected, and that it's quite often through EU programs.
Yeah. And would you say there's quite a sense of uncertainty as well? It's not only we've left the EU, but there aren't really any plans in place, and no one seems to have any answers for us.
Oh yeah, and it's quite shocking. I mean, you can see that having horrible repercussions as well. I read this morning that the pound, as a result of this, is now at what? It's, I think, $1.17 to the per pound, which I think is quite 30-year low there. And if there had been more certainty about like what we were actually doing going forwards, maybe we would be in a better situation now.
Yeah. So there has been a petition about having a second referendum. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's a possibility?
Well, I mean, if you'd have told me 2 years ago that there would be a majority Conservative government and that we'd be having this referendum at all, let alone that Leave would win, I mean, I would have told you that you were bonkers. But we are where we are, so I think again all bets are off. But I mean, what we're doing here today is not specific. We're not necessarily in favour of a second referendum. I do think that it's quite clear that a lot of the things that were said in the campaign turned out to not be true. You've seen Nigel Farage and Daniel Hannan recanting their NHS statement almost as soon as the result was in. So I think there's certainly grounds for some sort of other democratic decision to be made. But there's a variety of ways that could go. So, for instance, another general election might be quite good, because at the moment our next Prime Minister is going to be decided by 0.2% of the population. And when people have been criticising the EU for being undemocratic, I think this is quite undemocratic, and we really need to sort of get together and decide, okay, there's been a majority Leave vote, but where are we actually going specifically? And an election or another referendum might be a good way to sort of actually, really decide that.
Yeah, great. And as you're saying, there's sort of a sense of political chaos at the moment, isn't there? You mentioned the European students, the future of the universities is uncertain. What do you think are the main problems we're kind of facing now we're out of the EU?
Well, I mean, something that I think has become a very big issue since just in the days after the result has been like the huge rise in quite a lot of nasty sort of almost racist things that have gone on. I mean, I was almost physically attacked on the day of the referendum by someone shouting some quite nasty things that better not be repeated. And I know people who are of a different colour than me who have been shouted at like just in the days following. And I think there's a huge deal of things that I'm worried about on climate change and the economy and on students. But I think this is really the big thing. The EU after all was a peace project, and it would be. We really need to make sure that even if we're going to be out of the EU or whatever happens next, we need to make sure that we keep the peace.
Yeah, absolutely. So today it's kind of a show of feeling.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, a show of. I mean, because the event's called Sheffield Stays, and that's more than just staying within the European family. It also means staying together as a city, as a country.
Yeah, great. So the meeting today is outside the town hall at 1:00. Mm-hmm. Everyone welcome.
Yeah, everyone welcome.
Yeah, great. If someone can't make it today, this afternoon, is there any other way they could get involved?
Yes, there is. A meeting at St Mary's on Bramall Lane at, I believe, 2:00 on Saturday, where we'll be sort of a lot of ex-Remain campaigners will be deciding how what do we do from here, basically, where are we going, because we've got all these great people together, some really fantastic people, some fantastic infrastructure, and what do we do with that? And if you I'll be tweeting out some information about that on the Sheffield Students Twitter account. I should say as well, we're just using the Twitter account because we've got it. So which is Chef Uni Strong In.
Great. So Is there a Facebook page as well?
Yeah, there's a Facebook page as well for I think there's South Yorkshire Stronger In as the Facebook page, and there's also a student one which is Sheffield Students. Sheffield Youth for Europe. If you type in any variation of Sheffield Remain, Stronger In, all these sorts of things, I'm sure something will come up, and we'll be posting it out there.
Great. So, I mean, would you say, as a result of the referendum, people do seem kind of more aware, more politically aware? Would you say that's kind of a positive result of?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously always saddened when I see someone who's not taking interest, but I remember being around at the general election as well, and I've seen the level of interest in this vote has been unprecedented. We saw that in the turnout; it was 75%, which is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm really happy that that's the case, because and this, especially in this sorts of really existential question about the country, and because it has such an impact on our lives. I'm really glad that so many people are coming together and thinking and voting on